the psychological recipe that he coined to be charismatic, the broad brushstrokes. He came up with a phrase called being cocky funny.
Cocky funny?
Right. That's what he was able to boil it down to.
Okay. Yeah.
So what he came up with is the idea that to be charismatic and to be attractive, you have to tap into this balance of fun arrogance. Right?
Yeah.
So it's a balance between bravado and people around you having a good time.
Interesting.
Right? So if you're only fun, then you are perceived as a clown, as a dancing monkey, as just entertainment, as a tryhard, as a weirdo, right? But if you're only cocky and arrogant, then you're perceived as a jerk and you'll turn people off, right? But when put together and these two dynamics are balanced, it's dynamite.
You're blowing my mind right now,
Right.
Gene.
Well, Evan Pagan / David DeAngelo blew my mind when I was 15 years old.
Oh my God, it's so true.
So think adventure heroes, right?
Uh-huh.
In movies and books, their swagger is fun arrogance. It's like Chris Pratt, in like adventure movies, or Indiana Jones, or any kind of things. It's this combination between, again, this cockiness and this fun energy, right? But the thing about cocky funny, it's also when you're feeling naturally among friends, this is the way people act when they're around their friends.
Yeah, they crack jokes.
They crack jokes.
They don't care what people say.
They tease each other. They
Right.
mess around. They say
Right.
ridiculous things.
That's interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
So by being the right amount, the right balance of cocky funny with somebody new, you have the ability to create the illusion that you guys already are friends.
Wow, you're just tapping in.
You're tapping
that
into
friendly
this thing,
banter.
into this friendly banter.
Wow,
Right.
that's amazing.
And so, again, it's very important to kind of calibrate what the combination of this balance is, right? So, for example, if you're somebody who's very, very high status, and you're talking to somebody who perceives you as high status and they're kind of lower status than you can't be overly arrogant, right? You have to be more fun. Because, again, you have to balance yourself to the situation.
Yeah.
While if you're somebody who's actually lower status, right? So, for example, like, Gabriele D'Annunzio could very likely get away with being a little bit more arrogant because he's kind of this ugly gargoyle guy. Again, like, you have to calibrate kind of that kind of arrogance level. Now, again, this is something that David DeAngelo kind of came up with and kind of got it down to this one phrase, cocky funny. But he's not the only one who saw this, right? And so Olivia Fox Cabane, who wrote the book, The Charisma Myth, she talks about the formula for charisma as the balance between power, warmth, and she talks about this other idea called presence, which kind of comes up in the personal charisma, which is the ability to be tuned in the bubble, right? But she talks about the concept of it's a balance between power and warmth, right? I also ended up finding this gentleman's PhD thesis while I was doing research, right?
Okay.
Konstantin Tskhay, in 2016, he wrote his PhD thesis at University of Toronto, and he did another kind of factor analysis type thing about looking at different charismatic traits in people, and he found that they all kind of moved as a cluster. And the two clusters he came up with was influence and affability.
Affability. What do you mean by affability?
Affability, again, it's like positive energy,
Okay.
levity, high mood.
Okay.
So if you start noticing this pattern, right? David DeAngelo, cocky, funny.
Yeah.
Olivia Fox Cabane, power and warmth. This PhD thesis, influence and affability. So the recipe for charisma is coming from multiple directions.
Yeah.
It is some balance between, again, a power dynamic and a dynamic of making people around you feel good in some way, which also ironically is what we talked about in the body language episode about threat level and expressiveness.
Yeah, you have to almost lower your threat level a lot because just, again, subconsciously, we're always analyzing the threat level of another person.
Right. So it's kind of it's how much power somebody is projecting in a situation. But again, what all these guys are getting at is that charisma does not work if there is no power. Right.
Okay.
You could be very warm. You could be very funny. You can be very affable, but power is projecting power is a core aspect of it. It's the projection of power wrapped in this warmth, this positive energy.